Okay, so we're here, almost ready. I'll wait for maybe a minute or two before I start. And today, what we will basically try to achieve is get a sorting functionality in place for our chapters. So the reason for this is when we are adding a new chapter, for example, let me see. We have, let's say we have one chapter as what are controllers. Okay. So now this is going to, what happened? Yeah, sorry. So as you can see, this is going on top right now. Okay, and that really is a little annoying because you are not going to create the first chapter as the last item, but it's rather the other way around. And hence it's a good idea to give the ability for the user to kind of sort it and you know set the sequence in a particular way. So now let's see how we are going to get that into picture. Right. The first thing that I'm going to do is use a component or a plugin which is React sortable HOC. It's a very simple yet effective component, I would say. I used it and I know that what it does is it doesn't have any UI to it, or you can say visually it is not going to restrict you into anything, but then it gives you every kind of functionality you need for the sorting to happen. Okay. By the way, if you guys have a problem with my audio or anything, do let me know, then I will make the adjustments accordingly. Okay, so let's look at the example. So they have quite a few. The one which we are looking at is this. It allows you to drag and drop certain things. Okay, my streaming, it says it's not in excellent condition. I don't know, is the audio clear? Okay, I don't know if you guys feel there is a problem, do ping me, but I don't have my earphones in right now, so I can't hear the audio. But yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing is obviously I need to install it. Okay, I'll go over here, open up one more terminal and let it install. Okay, so once that is done, I think I need one more component, because in the example, right, they are using one more npm package which is array move. So we will install that as well. All right, with that done, let's go to this particular page that we have. This is course, view, and then ID, right? So inside pages, course, view, ID. This is what we are looking at right now. Okay, so I'll close it out right now. And what do we have in here? This is the form, which is fine. No, we don't need to make any changes over here, but this is our main thing, which is the chapters which we are looping through to uh, render the individual chapters, right? Now, if we look at the example, which is here, they have code over here as well. So let me open that up. This this package gives us a few higher order components. The first one is the container. Okay, sortable container equals sortable container. That is the thing which we are getting from the HOC plugin that we are using. What it does is it creates, obviously as the name suggests, it creates a sortable container where inside it you have the items. So we have our container over here, okay, and then they have the individual items as sortable element. Okay, that's how they have structured it. And these are all HOCs, and there is an additional one which is sortable handle. This is responsible for that drag handle instead of the entire thing, right? If you don't want the entire element to be draggable, you can use the handle thing. Okay, we will see that as well. But yeah, obviously what they have done is they have the container. Inside the container they have looped through the map and used the sortable item. Okay, so let's see how we can fit it into our use case. Right. Let's go to code. Now, obviously, we will first create a container for our use case. So let me go over here. I'll call it sortable course. Let's use the sortable container. It uses a wrapped component, so one and like so. Okay, and yeah, I think it will take the props in here. Okay, let me first return something. We'll have a UL. Okay, so this is the container which will have the list, and inside the list I can have, let's say I pass the chapters. Okay, so yes, I'll get the chapters as props. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is chapters dot map chapter index, like so. Okay, what is this? Okay, it is declared but never used, so fine, I understand. In here I think we should also I don't know, let me do a P and C. It is squawking for some reason. The key can be used in here, that is fine. Okay, needs to be returned. No, it doesn't need to return. It's a why is it giving me this? Oh, I think the syntax is wrong. Let me see. Yes, chapter dot map. Okay, I have chapter index, right? This is how it should have been. Okay, and with this in place, I think what I should do is, for now, comment it out and sortable course is something which I can put in, okay, but I still need to pass the chapters, right? It needs that thing. So what I can do is get this inside course if course is there, and course dot chapters dot length is greater than 0. Only then what we will do is do sortable course. Okay, and in that sortable course I had chapters, right? Or I didn't pass the props. Let me see. I have this. Okay, I need to pass it any which way. So chapters is going to be course not chapters. Okay, this is done. Let's see if we have so far. Okay, it is going in a loop. I think something is wrong. Chapters.map is not a function. That's a bit weird. Chapters. This is fine. This is fine as well. It's an array, and so it's saying it can't loop in here. Why? Ideally it should have come. Let's just console and see what is coming actually. Okay. Yes, Tanzim, I'm using TypeScript. I have stopped using JS for quite a long time, so I generally stick to TypeScript. Okay. Why is it saying line number 12? It's not a map is not a function. Oh, I think it needs to deconstruct it. Sorry, rather destructure it and not deconstruct. Yes. So now I'm getting the chapters in here. So yeah, we have something in place. I mean, we at least have the chapters information, and the container is ready. Now this P needs to go away. Yes, Tanzim, I saw that. The P is just for testing purpose. Okay. So li, and what I should ideally do is, so this is the container. Let me get rid of that thing. In here we will have the second element, which we will call the container, or rather the sortable element. Okay, so let's do sortable chapter equals sortable element. Okay, it's again expecting a wrapper component, so we'll do something like this. Okay, and return. What do we return in here? We will return a div. Okay, we will get the chapter as prop. Okay, and so because this is looping, we will do chapter.id. I know this is going to be, how do you say, unique. Okay, and then let's just do chapter name and be done with it for now, and then we will see what additionally we can do. So this is the sort chapter. Oops. And so in here something like this, sort chapter is that, and chapter is equal to chapter. Okay, key is obviously chapter.id, and now this is something where, see, the sortable item in here, it takes the key value and an index. Okay, that index is important for it to how do you say, keep a track of what is being moved around. Okay, let me put it that way. So we will use that. Index is, what should I use as index? I think we can use this. Okay, now let's see what we have in place. Have I returned it in this? Yes, we have, but it is right. So sortable, the chapters is here. For some reason, this is the container. Okay. Chapters. I'm getting. Let me see. Okay, I don't have the plugin, is it? Right. Let me quickly install that. I've been willing to do that on Brave. Where is the extensions? Extensions. What happened? Web Store. React Developer Tools. Wow. Why is it so slow? I think my internet connection is very flaky. Right. Maybe I'll open up Firefox and start working on that, because this is creating problems. Oh yes. I'll need to log in. Go to my courses. Okay. Inside the components, what do we have in here? This is the add form, which is fine. I don't have anything in here. That is a problem. This shouldn't have been the case because right, something is not right in here. Let me try to see what is the problem. So we have sortable element which takes the chapter. This is not getting rendered. That's what I can understand from the issue. We have the sortable container. This is returning, this is also returning. So I have a UL. Do I get that UL somewhere here? I do. So this container is in place, but then inside that I don't have anything. Is it because I'm not getting anything over here? That should not be the case. I was getting 5 chapters. I saw that on the log. So why is it not coming up? Sortable chapter. Right. So I have this in place. And this is chapter.name, right? Correct. Am I able to get the chapter as individual chapter, comma, chapter? Let me do a console over here. There's right. There's somewhere the data is not visible and I want to understand what that part is. Krushanu Mahapatra is asking, what are you trying to do here today? So, Krishanu, I'm trying to create a drag and drop sortable kind of an interface for the chapters. Okay. So, right, let me see. I think now I know what is happening over here because I have not got the log in here, which is a problem. But the question is, what is missing over here? Because this is fine, sortable chapter, chapters.map. This is the same thing. Right, and chapters.map, right. So this is an array. The length is here. Why is it? If I comment this out, okay, and try to do a p tag over here, let me see what comes up. Okay, it still does chapters, but it is not. No, chapters doesn't have an extra s because this is the array that I'm quite sure. Really? CHAPTERS, that's fine. Okay. Is it because I'm not returning? I don't know. Should not be the case. Oh, okay. Fine. That's a bit weird because I thought it was not required. So now if I return this, okay, right, fair enough. All right, and you can see I am at least getting this behavior in place. Okay, it was that simple. I made a mistake, and that's why it took some time to debug, but it's in place because now let us refresh. Let's get rid of this console. We can see without any errors we have this drag and drop functionality. But the only problem right now is if I drag something and put it at the end, it will snap back. Why? Because we are not updating the state. Okay, the state needs to update itself so that the sequence remains as is. We are rendering this item, this map is taking the chapters from here, right, which is part of the state. So if we don't update the state, then how will the component readjust? Okay, so now let's go to the documentation. In the main container HOC, right? Tanzim says, does next do SSR by default? No, Tanzim, you don't get SSR on every component or everything by default. SSR is only done if you want it to be. Okay, I will try to answer a few more questions if you have related to next once I finish this. But yes, do understand that you only get SSR when you want it in certain areas. It is not like you will get it on every page, or because you may not want it to happen like that. Okay, so it's optional. You have the ability to do it. Okay, now coming back to our code, we are saying that there is a sort end, and that is the function which will be triggered whenever we are dropping the target and the sorting is ending. Okay, so let's say, where is our component in here? Sort on sort end, or is it on sort end? On sort end. On sort end, like this. Now for some time I will do an anonymous function, okay, so that you understand what is happening. Okay, drag, it said sort end, drag, it said sort end again. So you can see it is handling the event. Okay, by the way, now I think I can work over here as well, so it is easier. Fine. Now it gives me two things, old index and new index. Okay, so why don't we understand what is happening? So this function is getting called, it is getting these two parameters over here, and then because this is a class based component, what it is doing is it is setting the state, this item, this set state items. Okay, and it is using the array move. So it is sending the current items, the old index and the new index, and this package magically is doing the thing. Let's see what actually this component does, because I don't want to use something as is. We need to understand what is happening over here. So it says move an array item to a different position. Fair enough. So we have an input A, B, C. Now array 1 is, when we do array move, we pass the array and we say that 1, which is old 1, is now 2. Okay, so what happened is A is fine, this is 0, B, which is 1, became 2, and so that was swapped by C, which now became the B. Okay, and I think that is the same thing which is happening over here. So we will console, we should be getting what? Old index, new index, like this. Let's try and understand what is happening then. New index, like this, and I'll close this out. Oh, I don't need to refresh. Why am I doing that again and again? Right. So what do we have in here? The first one is going to be the old index. Okay, so inside old index I have 5 nodes. Okay, it says collection 0, new index 0, and the new one has a lot more data actually. That's a bit weird. Old index, new index, sort end, correct. So I have sort end. Let me console them one by one. Maybe I'll get a little more clarity, because I'm a little confused, to be very frank. If it is like this, I need to add the array, the brackets, and then I'll have console.log old index, new index, and hit save. Okay, clear the console, and let's see now what is happening. Okay, this is a bit weird again. Okay, it is one prop from which they are destructuring it, so it's not two different things. I think what that means is basically like this. Let me see now what we are getting. Right. So let me try and understand. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? What we have done is drag the fourth item and make it the first item. So old index was 4, it became 0. Drag the first item and make it 4. Correct? So at least the console part is working properly. We are able to understand what is happening when we are dragging it and what this function is basically telling us. But one thing which now I need to change is, it is generally a good idea to, how do you say, not have anonymous functions, because this can be a bit tricky when you have errors. Okay, let's just say, how can I create an exception over here on sort end? I think it will generally give me a TypeScript error and it may not compile, but let's see. बात मत करो. Okay, I think the connection is back. I'm not sure suddenly what happened. My internet connection was gone. The streaming current bitrate is lower than the recommended. Open widget. Wow, this is bad. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys are able to see, but let me see if my stream is at least working or not. If you guys can tell me, it will be great whether the stream is working again, because my internet connection went off. Okay, the pings are going, so I think it is back on track. GIO. Oh no, Tanzim, that's GOJIO. But no, I don't use Geo. If that's what you were trying to. Okay, so let's get back to work. If you guys get any problem, do ping, because it is giving me a warning saying YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, which might mean there will be certain lags, which is really bad. I'm really sorry about it, but I'll try to go slow so that it is not very difficult to understand. Okay, we were on the part where we were handling the on sort end event. Okay, and I was trying to say that you need to have a function which it handles it rather than doing this kind of a closure thing. Otherwise you will not get the errors if there are any. Okay, and here obviously we will get these two props parameters, and this should work in here as well. And what I can now do is just call this function. Okay, because I'm just calling this function, it will automatically get these parameters as well. Okay, that's how it will work. Okay, so if I clear everything and 0, 1, 2, second becomes fourth, So this is working, and now it's time to update our state. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's go back to our code. So we have the entire array of courses. So let's first take that in a variable. So we will say constant new course equals course. Okay, this is what we will get from our state. Okay, now there is one thing in here which is okay. I'll show you why this needs to be done. So what happens is the array move generally works very nicely with single arrays. So if I the idea is I can do array.move, and it will be what new course dot chapters. Okay, we pass the old index, new index, and this entire thing can be, let's see what is going to happen with this. Okay, let's go step by step. Console log in 48th line number, so that's what we are interested in. So again, second becomes fourth. What is going to happen is, although you can see the array is showing that my fourth item is looking at the Laravel project structure, the state has not yet updated. Okay, and that is primarily because of the problem that there is a complex JavaScript object. Okay, and what they have done here is useful for huge arrays where absolute performance is needed. You use mutate. So what I will do is, by the way, I had to kind of, initially it was not working, and then finally I had to dig into Stack Overflow and find things, and finally I got that. Wow, it says array move mutate doesn't exist. Come on. This is not correct. It should have worked. Array move. Am I importing the correct thing? Okay. I don't need the array move from the HOC. I need it from here. Now it should work. Where is it? Array move dot mutate. Okay. This. By the way, this will also not work because, as I showed you, right, the thing does change the array, but the state will not update. Okay. We can actually console it again if you want. Oh, but I right now have muted, so let it be. Okay, and so the array is mutated, and then the final thing which I want to do is set course, and I can't just add new course in here because React will not understand it. Okay, so what we will do is, sorry, not like this, but if I set the new course like this, you will see, rather let's console it. Okay, sorry, that internet thing is still running on my head, and that's the reason I got a little confused. But yeah, so 0 becomes 4. Okay, and then it says 45 is undefined. That's interesting. Okay, it is, yes, it is just mutating it. It doesn't return anything. So okay, so you can see chapters, what is controller, the last one is here, everything is fine, but no, the state didn't get updated. Why? Because again, React is also not able to understand that things are changing. So when you face such a problem, just put that thing inside an double bracket and do this, and you're done. Now let's try and see. Yes, it is working. Right? Put something here, controller on top. Anything will now work. Okay. So yeah. Now the last thing is obviously the UI part, which is the handler. So let me try to do that. Which is somewhere I need to define a handler. Okay, if you see the documentation, they have a sortable. No, this doesn't have the handler. Where is the handler? Handle. This is the parameter. If you're using the sortable handle HOC, set this to true, which is fine. I will do that. Is it in their example? I want you to see that before I actually implement it. Right, it should be in this page. Yes, as you can see, they are using this sortable handle, and it returns a span. And you can do literally anything with it. So just copy, let's copy this right now. Okay, and import that thing. Okay, we need to define where this handle will be visible. So I am saying the place where we have the chapter name, it should be visible there. Drag handle, what happened? This is drag handle. This is fine. Let's make it sort handle like so. Why is it giving an error? I don't understand. JSX element doesn't have any construct or call signatures. Okay, that is a bit weird. This is capital S. Is that a problem? Right, it didn't import anything. Let me import this. Now it should work, and it does. And we have some ugly looking handles, but fine. I mean, now we only need to make a small configuration change, as the document said. Use drag handle. With this, what is going to happen is, refresh done. Now you can see I don't get the ability to sort or do anything on the text. The only way I can do it is like so. Okay, so yes, if you have other kind of behavior attached to this thing, right, you can always do that. I mean, I can also do something like what, bootstrap icons. Let me see. Handle, no, drag, not drag. Let me think about arrows. Let's say arrows. There's that nice looking four-headed arrow. Can't seem to find it. Maybe it's move. Yes, that's the one. So what I will do is I'll just copy this, and instead of that ugly looking span which we have here, we'll have this. Okay, and let's see. Fine. So I need a little bit of spacing and stuff, a padding or anything, but then it will definitely look better. So yes, that's how I have the drag and draggable sortable widget in place. I will try to implement the API as well so that I can save this new sequence. But yeah, at least for now, this is what I wanted to cover in this video. There is some question by Socha Solutions. He is saying, give us some project idea for apply job. Okay, so I think you should start with something very basic, and keep improving on it. It can be, when I started this project, this was just about a basic CRUD where I was, I had this form. Okay, I add the details of a YouTube video, I submit, and that video is visible here. And then I am trying to improve continuously on that particular thing. I'm trying to add new features to it. I'm trying to make it a little more complex so that I can cover a lot of things. The entire API was done with a test driven approach. So I was able to do a lot of additional things like test the emails which are going from the application, test the events. On the front end, I haven't done test driven development because I'm not very familiar with testing with React. But yes, I'm what I'm doing is improving the requirements. That's how the application will grow, and slowly you will get somewhere which with a sophisticated application, and then you can showcase that as one of your project for your portfolio. What technologies do you prefer for a million user chat app? Okay, see, in terms of technology, see, the chat app ideally should have socket because it is going to be real time. But then if it is about infrastructure, I would say it is a good idea to host it somewhere. If you are willing to have so many users, you should be spending on, let's say, pusher, where you get a lot of state management and authentication out of the box. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, and other than that, a chat application is very much, the information is very much like a document, and so I may prefer a NoSQL database instead of a relational database, or maybe a mix. I don't know. I mean, it can be very easily be architected in a way that you have a microservice where the chat data is on a different application, let's say, which is using NoSQL. It's a Node.js kind of an application, but you can still have the other part of the application as normal Laravel app. It completely depends on how you want to structure it. But yes, the database, I would say, is a good idea to be on a NoSQL database, because you are not going to gain much with a relational structure there. Okay, and yeah, is this series full project? Yes, yes, Kareem. This series is a full project. If you go to my YouTube channel, right? Let me go to Amitav Roy. Okay, and I think there are what 29 videos till now, if I'm not wrong. Hey, welcome back. 28th, and yes, this is the 29th. So yes, this is a quite one of the most largest series that I have created. The biggest one I think is of 30, and now this is touching there. So yes, I have tried to start right from the basics. I went from installing Laravel and stuff to really where we are right now, where we are talking about very interesting little problems like sorting and stuff. So yes, that was my idea, and that's how I'm going ahead. The idea is to create an application where users can create small little courses, and yeah, it's like a mini Udemy kind of a thing. Okay, that was the idea, but yes, you can follow along. I'm sure you'll be able to learn a lot from this. Tanzim says, how did you work with RabbitMQ Kafka? No, I have I have only worked with Redis for queuing, other than SQS on Amazon. But I know Kafka is a great solution for, how to say, when you have a large queuing thing. Kafka is more than queue. Kafka is primarily where you have sequence of data, and then you are processing it one by one. I think that's where Kafka is really useful. But yes, I am not 100% sure about that because I haven't implemented it. Okay, but I generally know that Kafka is used for very busy applications where you offload the work, and then you some kind of a queue, but a little more advanced. Yeah. Kareem says, thank you for your efforts. Thanks, Kareem. And yeah, I appreciate your comments for that. Okay, so 57 minutes. I had lost a little bit of time because of that internet connectivity. If any one of you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll end the stream in some time. In the meantime, why don't I commit my code so that I don't lose it? Okay, this is fine. Right, this is okay. By the way, I think package log.json, right? Okay, I'll commit this. By the way, Tanzim, you had asked whether Next.js gives you server-side rendering by default. That's not the case. So I'll tell you how that works. Let's open up Next.js. Okay, go to the docs. I'm showing it here so that you understand. What happens is, where is the data fetching? Right. So in data fetching, inside Next, rather inside React, okay, how can you pull data from different places? Let's say if we are trying to make API calls, we can, in a I will say functional component, what you do is you use hooks. So you use use the hook to make an API call. But then the problem is, like in here, I'm using use effect. Now this use effect is only going to get triggered when my component is getting rendered inside a window. Okay. But then the thing is, if I need to fetch something way before the browser gets the data, then I use this kind of thing. So you see, it says they have get static props, get static paths, and get server side props. And there is one more function which I tend to forget. I think it was in the dashboard that I used. No. get initial props, if I'm not wrong. Okay, but yes, these functions basically what it allows you to do is make API calls to, I mean, make API calls before even the component is going to the browser. Okay, I heard we can use React View as a service with an external API from Magento or Shopify. Yes, Tanzim. So that's a very trending thing which is happening with a lot of CMSs and a lot of um, applications like Magento and Shopify, because what happens is, now I have faced this with Drupal. When we used to do Drupal development, the JavaScript world has moved significantly. They were using Webpack, they were using ES6 and whatnot, but Drupal was still stuck with jQuery. Okay, and the reason was, if they want to make an overhaul and they want to support React and Vue and whatnot, they can't do that so easily. The system is very tightly coupled to the theming layer, and the theming layer has a lot of APIs which they will have to then continue to rewrite for React, for Vue, and the JavaScript framework world is such a place where you have frameworks every now and then. So it becomes very difficult. So what they have figured out is, CMSs or applications like Magento or Shopify, they are very good at handling products. They are very good at handling catalogs, payment gateways, but they are not very good when it comes to front end development. So what they did, they said, fair enough, we will only focus on what we do best, and that is headless. Okay, we expose our APIs. You use our admins to control the store. Okay, and then you expose APIs which you can then consume and write Next.js based or Vue based applications, or even use mobile apps, because if you have a Shopify or a Magento app commerce website, you may want them to be exposed for a mobile app as well. So it really means at the end you need to have APIs, and then the headless becomes a very important, or rather a good choice. Is Drupal dead? Oh no, Drupal is not dead. I don't see that happen, but yes, there are a lot of good CMSs coming along. I mean, WordPress and Drupal, they are definitely very popular. WordPress, I think, is much more favored by many web developers because it is very easy to use. I have used WordPress myself, and yes, I mean, the stuff which I could do with Elementor, I mean, it will generally take a lot of time to do, but with Elementor it becomes so easy, right? If you write it and by hand, it takes a lot of time, so it definitely reduces a lot of development effort. But more than that, WordPress is very user friendly for non-geeky people, and I have always seen that our clients were very comfortable working with a WordPress kind of an admin interface for their websites, and they were very happy editing their content, adding blogs, and doing a lot of stuff compared to other CMSs, including Drupal, because Drupal was somehow, or rather not was, but is somehow, it's still a bit geeky. But these APIs are not free, maybe, and it's very risky to use these as they can end your business if properly violated. If not used properly, why? So, uh, tell me, Tanzim, what will be the problem? Because let's say I have a I have a shop. I have a e-commerce website. Now I have exposed certain APIs. Okay, obviously there is one challenge, which is the API rate limiting, or you can say the load on the server can increase if suddenly everyone is using the APIs. But let's just say there is certain open APIs which list down the cards. Okay, I can always have different kinds of mechanisms to understand the agents. Okay, but if you think about it, the data was anyways available openly, or let's say, without any authentication for many cards. And that's how it has to be. You need to keep that information open. For example, Amazon's catalog is available, and that there are a lot of ways people will scrape it. So that's always going to happen. But yes, when you have other kind of APIs, like the payment processing, or maybe adding to a cart or something, definitely you can go to a authentication based mechanism. Okay. And yes, there are other ways of getting headers and stuff to understand, but they are hackable. So the idea is the things which are user specific can be behind authentication, so that you can safeguard them. It is like when you buy Firebase plans, they make you sign an agreement. They can end your business anytime. WordPress and Drupal should require their productions. Acha. Okay, so as far as the first part goes, yes, I mean, today we are talking about Firebase. If you, I don't know if you have a, a product from Facebook, I think, which used to give you NoSQL database, and it was very helpful for mobile app development. But then suddenly they stopped. They gave some time for all the clients to move to switch to something else. But yes, they literally stopped that product. I think it was Fabric, if I'm not very wrong. But yes, that's how that product ended, and that can happen with Firebase as well. But it's Google, and I don't know, is it that easy to stop a product which is so well accepted? I don't think so. In Alpine JS. See, that's the thing I was telling you, Tanzim, right? That Drupal's APIs are huge. They have so many things in place. There are so many APIs available on the front end, which then they will have to port every now and then it becomes a development nightmare. It is not really possible, because there are so many things. There are security things. There are all kinds of APIs and so much stuff going on. So, right. I mean, I heard that they were planning to write the admin interface in React, and they were planning to come up with React based APIs for the front end. But I'm not so sure how much they have improved on it. But yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of Drupal development lately, so I'm a little outdated on that particular piece. Okay, so I think it's almost 1 hour 10 minutes. I've been answering the questions. So someone who is watching this video after the live is stopped, I think he will feel what is going on. So I'll stop the stream right now. Thank you everyone for joining the stream, and sorry again for the internet connectivity issue. I will try to create more videos on this. They will be normal videos, and then I'll try to go live sometime maybe during the